If you find it really hard to delegate or you feel like you haven't found the right person to delegate to, this video is for you. In today's video, I want to have more of a discussion about what it really takes to delegate properly. It's not something that comes easily to most people, and it's completely normal since you're not used to doing it. It will take a little bit of practice to get good at it. And I thought it might be interesting for you to hear about how I first started delegating and how it went, the mistakes that I made, because I'm sure a lot of you have the same issues. You will relate, and I can tell you how I got out of this situation of feeling stuck and feeling like I was never going to be able to delegate. I was going to have to keep doing everything alone, to having a team of 12 people that I trust and that I can rely on, and hopefully it helps you too in your own business. It's actually quite hilarious that I have an outsourcing firm, and it was pretty hard for me to delegate the first 6 months to a year. I had a couple people, but I felt like I still needed to do most of it by myself. And I always felt like I couldn't find someone good enough to join my team. And I always tell my clients that I do the hard work of finding good people and they can delegate, not having to worry about the quality of the work and how reliable the designers are. And it's a full-time job to be looking for good people. And once you find them, it's about creating a working relationship that works for the both of you. And I think the biggest mistake that I was making is that I was never super clear about what my expectations are. And sometimes when people start on a trial with you, they are afraid to ask too many questions because they want to show up as skilled people who don't need a lot of directions. But the reality is that everybody, even just my clients, they're all interior designers. They all have a different process, a different way of taking on projects, a different way of wanting their projects presented. So each one of them has to be very specific about what they want and how they want it done. So that was my first mistake, that I think I was not very clear about what I wanted or how I wanted things to be done. So I will always felt disappointed. And when you feel disappointed, what is the first reaction? I know that a lot of you still have this and you try not to do it anymore, but it's the normal reaction, is wanting to do it yourself. So I would tell them, I didn't want it this way, but don't worry, I'll do it. What is the problem though of doing this? I would just take the project, redo it myself, and then the next time that we had a new project, the same thing would happen. And I'd feel more frustrated because I think that this designer really doesn't understand anything and that I cannot keep them. And it's irritating that you spend so much time training someone, although it wasn't really training them, and then you have to let them go. You have to differentiate between someone having skills, because you can hire someone who is very skilled. They will still need a little bit of training to understand who you are as a person, who you are as a designer, what you are expecting for your business in terms of quality of work, turnaround, how it's presented. So you're always going to waste a little bit of time initially to onboard someone. However, if you do it correctly, it won't be very long before they understand what your expectations are and how to work without much direction from you. However, if you do not train them correctly, you will have to manage them every day for months or years because they will never understand fully what your expectations are. So the first element is to be able to define your objectives clearly with them. Most of us aren't clear ourselves about what we are looking for because we do it automatically. We have our own way of doing things. And so it's very difficult when you think about what you have to explain to this new person because you do things automatically in your head. So if we think about it, before you're able to define objectives, you have to have a process. Because when you have a process, you standardize the way that you do things in your business. It always comes down to this. I'm not going to talk about systems in this video, but I have a lot of videos talking about systems and why you need to have a project management tool, why you need to have a client management tool. When you have a clear process, you will be more organized, you will be more efficient, you will be able to onboard people more easily because you'll be clear about what the process is, what the step-by-step is for doing a specific type of task. So spend some time working on your processes, even if you don't set up systems right now in your business, as long as you're clear about what your process is, so that it helps you define clear objectives on how you want this person who's being onboarded to work for you, depending on whether they are working on your marketing or on your technical design work. You have to have a clear idea about how you want things done for each specific task. So remember that someone who is skilled still needs some type of training, and the more time you can spend initially to train them, onboard them correctly, the more independent they will become and the less micromanaging you will need to do. The other thing that I had to work really hard on to become a better manager was communication. It's all about how you communicate with someone. As I said, you have to be clear about your objectives, but it's also about communicating on a regular basis, not assuming that they know exactly what they're supposed to do, and also teach your team members to be better at communicating as well. And it's another thing that's part of the training. Sometimes designers or whoever you're hiring, for me it's designers, they don't want to ask too many questions because they're afraid that it will show them as people who don't know what they're doing. But sometimes what happens is that they didn't understand the brief completely, and if they don't ask questions, then they get to the end of the project and they did something that doesn't match what was expected from them. So I had to teach them that it's okay to ask questions, that we should be communicating on a regular basis. And that's why internally we have daily check-ins. I want to ensure that everybody's on track, but more than that, it's about checking that they're on the right track. So they understood the brief, they're doing what's expected of them. Then it's going to avoid that you feel frustrated because you feel like they didn't do the work properly. And it's also going to prevent them from feeling really ashamed that they didn't understand the brief. So communication, number one, it should be your priority within your business, whether it's to someone you're hiring as an employee, an outsourcing firm, a freelancer. Try to do daily check-ins if possible, ensure that they understand what's expected, and be okay with them asking questions. You build strong relationship with your team members when they feel like they can communicate with you. If they're scared of you, it's not going to work because you're always going to be micromanaging them and they're not going to feel confident about what they're doing and they will end up leaving you. Okay, the next thing is, and it goes hand in hand with the rest, but creating detailed briefs so they understand what the deliverables are. So if it's a floor plan, write clearly that you are looking to get a floor plan done. Sometimes it's clear in your head, but it's not clear to the person who's reading the brief. Do everything that you can to reduce the chances of misunderstandings. Be super clear, and this will take a little bit of practice. Sometimes it's a little bit unclear for you what information to send to get your project completed, but just think as if you were doing the project yourself. What do you need? And also coming back to the communication, if they feel comfortable around you to ask questions, if they're missing something on the project, they will let you know. And as part of sending a detailed brief, also think about the timeline and when you want this project to be delivered. Set a realistic timeline. It's not because the outsourcing team is supposed to be faster than you at doing something that they can work on a huge project in one business day. So just think about the timeline. I think that one of the biggest reasons why outsourcing doesn't work for a lot of people is that they're not organized. So they send briefs very late, too close to the presentation date. Then it makes them really stressed out because we're working on the project very close to their presentation. They are scared that it's not going to match their expectations. They're scared they're not going to have time to give feedback and that it's not going to be as high quality as they hope for. Send the brief a little bit ahead of time to ensure that you're relaxed, that everybody has enough time to work on the project so that on presentation day, it's absolutely perfect. Trust me, it's going to change how you view outsourcing. Another valuable insight that I have for you is that I view the people on my team as equals. You have to build a long-lasting relationship with the people you work with. You have to respect them, respect their opinion. And if you hire someone, whether it's an employee or a freelancer, it's because they have skills that you don't have. It's skills that sit outside your zone of genius or skills that you don't have time for. But it's people technically who are more skilled than you at doing something. Because if you want to increase the quality of the work that you issue to your clients, you shouldn't be hiring people who have less skills than you. You should be hiring up, which means that you should value their opinion. Ask them what they think about a particular project, about a way of handling things. I always ask the people on my team what they think. I'm really open to constructive feedback because at the end of the day, I want to work with these people on the long term and I want us to be able to trust each other. And something I mentioned at the beginning of the video is that I was unable to send proper feedback. I would just take the project, do it myself. The next time they would still do the same mistake because I never send them any feedback. So sending constructive feedback is very important. You should be clear about what it is that doesn't work for you so that next time it's done according to your standards. And I know that the first thing that comes to mind is, if I'm going to spend an hour reviewing everything and explaining why it doesn't match what I wanted, I might as well do it myself. But this is not the mindset of a CEO. It's the mindset of someone who's never going to grow a sustainable business. So if you spend 1 hour sending proper feedback now, on the next project, you're going to save a lot of time because you won't need to explain the same thing again. If you take this hour to redo the work yourself, you're going to have to keep doing everything yourself because you're never going to find people you think are good enough for your business. So at the end of the day, if you want to save time and grow a successful business, spend this extra hour giving proper feedback and you will see the benefits in the long run. Okay, and the last thing I will mention in this video is we always learn more from failure than from success. This is absolutely true. We always learn better when we have a problem with a client on a project than when everything runs smoothly. So we've just had the case of an issue we had with a client last week. It really helps us move forward and understand what we did wrong, how we could have handled the situation better, and how we're going to handle the situation better next time. So when something goes wrong with someone you're managing, try to learn from it and see how the two of you can move forward together so that it doesn't happen again. It was a short video, but I hope it helped you a little bit better to understand what some of the common mistakes are when it comes to outsourcing and how you can become a better manager so that you can grow a successful and sustainable business. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.